What's up, guys? We're getting ready to start a Robot Master Weapons only run of Mega Man 1 for the NES. The rules are quite simple. I'm never allowed to use the Mega Buster except for on the very first Robot Master that I fight. I'm also never allowed to use the Magnum Beam unless it's forced, as this is a Robot Master Weapons only run. You got quite a few starting stages for your challenge, as every single stage is possible to go through. You have absolutely no forbidden Robot Masters in Mega Man 1. However, I'd recommend not starting with Elec Man, simply because you'd have to return to get the Magnum Beam later. Here we are in Fireman stage. Yeah, I'd recommend starting off with Fireman for this challenge, not only because he gives you a really good weapon, but also because the stage is really easy to go through without your Mega Buster. There's so much health laying around that you can take damage and recover it basically right away. Plus, on top of that, about half the enemies in this stage are trap-based as it is, such as these fire sticks. You'll see some ones that come out horizontally here in just a moment, right here. Then later on we got a flame chute to pass. So yeah, a lot of Fireman stage is trap-based as it is. So yeah, like I said, I'd highly recommend going with Fireman for your starting Robot Master. But again, you can start with whoever you want. I always liked Fireman. I really like the way how his stage looks. It's got a lot of pretty cool enemies in it. It's got a pretty good song here in Mega Man 1 as well. I always thought the Fireman looked pretty cool. Probably my favorite thing about him, though, is the weapon that he gives you. He gives you one of the best weapons in the entire Classic series, in my opinion. There aren't many enemies for you to kill in this stage. You got the chain keys, screwdrivers, gabyals, and killer bullets. You can only kill the gabyals if you have a Robot Master weapon. Just time your movement as you get ready to pass the flame chute here to avoid being hit. It can be kinda tricky, but it is possible to avoid both of them without taking damage. We are now on the final stretch to Fireman stage. We still got a little bit of ways to go though, because we have to zigzag our way through these tiny hallways. Just take a hit from the gabyals and jump down to keep them from speeding up. Either that or glitch them off the screen to kill them, whatever you want to do. We are just about to the boss doors here in Fireman stage. One thing that I always found kind of interesting here in Mega Man 1 is that there's more space between the two boss gates before you get to the boss, and there are minor enemies in that little hallway. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, I suppose. Like if you're low on health, you could sit there and farm for life energy off the enemies, stuff like that. We are now at Fireman. If you know the trick to fighting Fireman, he's really not that bad, but if you go shooting like a madman, then he'll do the same thing right back at you. Instead, just stay against the wall, shoot one shot, jump over his flame, and just keep on doing that over and over. Takes him out pretty quickly. For defeating Fireman, you get the Firestorm weapon, which is one of the best weapons in the entire Classic series in my opinion. It's pretty energy efficient. It only uses up 1 bar of weapon energy per shot. Every time you use it, Mega Man will shoot a fairly large and powerful fireball straight forward, while at the same time a shield of smoke will protect Mega Man from collision damage. Overall, Firestorm is one of the best weapons in the entire Classic series. Next up, we're going to go ahead and take out Bomb Man. I always really liked Bomb Man. I never understood what the little towers are in the background of his stage. But hey, they look kinda cool. I really love his music. Probably my favorite song here in Mega Man 1. A little trick that you can do with Firestorm is if you shoot it and then run with the fireball, then press the shot button again before it leaves the screen, and once your smoke shield is left, you'll create the smoke shield again and it'll circle around Mega Man for a longer period of time. Just be sure not to shoot again, otherwise you'll make the smoke shield go away at its regular time. Still a neat hidden feature of the weapon, though. One thing that I always kind of liked here in Mega Man 1 is that the health energy and weapon energy looks different than it does in the rest of the Classic series. Kinda nice. I also kinda like how Mega Man 1 has a point system. I mean, the points don't actually do anything for you, but still kinda fun. If you actually get all 9s in your point count up there, then whenever you get more points, it'll just loop back over to 0 again. Start back over from the beginning. Still, it's kinda fun. I always enjoy hurdling over the killer bullets throughout this area. That's a lot of fun as well. You just gotta be careful if you kill one of the killer bullets because it'll create an explosion that can hurt you. And up we go. I find it kinda funny that you don't even have to climb the ladder all the way up there and use those platforms. You can just get off at the bottom and jump over to the ladder. Gotta be careful of the shell type enemies up here. One thing that I never cared for in Mega Man 1 is that if you get hit and you land on spikes while you're invincible, it still won't count it and you'll die anyway. Still, I guess it kinda adds to the challenge factor of the game. There's a 1-up over there being guarded by that Sniper Joe, but we don't need it. I love how it glitches into that little spot there, like that. We got a Sniper Joe guarding the boss doors here. Just take it out. If you stand close to the Sniper Joes and let the smoke shield do additional damage, you'll kill them pretty quickly. We gotta climb a ladder downwards to get to Bomb Man. Just be careful of the Susies that you see here and there, or the octopus batteries, whatever you want to call them. And we are now at Bomb Man. If you stay close to Bomb Man, he'll never once throw a bomb. So long as you're close to Bomb Man, he'll just jump around the room, so use that to your advantage. If he's behind you, you can shoot the Firestorm to hit him with the smoke shield. And if he's in front of you, just hit him with the fireball. Whatever the case though, Bomb Man is one of the easier Robot Masters here in Mega Man 1. For defeating Bomb Man, we get the Hyper Bomb weapon, which, while it is extremely powerful, it's also really situational, and in my opinion, it's one of the worst weapons in the entire Classic series. The biggest flaw of it is that it takes way too long to explode. The explosion does cover a pretty large area, and like I said, it is pretty powerful. Its biggest flaw, like I said, is the fact that it takes way too long to blow up. It uses 2 bars of weapon energy per shot, thus giving you 14 bombs to a full bar of weapon energy. Like I said though, I would probably rate Hyper Bomb as one of the worst weapons in the entire Classic series. It's powerful but extremely situational because it's only really good on enemies that sit still, or don't move very far. Here we are in Guts Man stage. I always thought that Guts Man had a fairly short stage. You can just use Firestorm to take out most of the enemies in this stage in one hit. Guts Man's got a pretty good song here in Mega Man 1. It's pretty catchy. It's not my favorite song in this game, but I do like it. I think that's pretty good. We'll just keep using Firestorm to take out the Picket Men. We got a long shaft to drop down here. I always drop down this little pillar here. Just keep falling. Just make sure that you don't take the far right path, otherwise you'll land on those spikes. Every classic Mega Man has their own version of a big jumper enemy, and I definitely find Mega Man 1's Big Eye to be the most annoying of all of them. We are now in the final stretch of Guts Man stage. Throughout this little hallway, we'll be encountering a whole bunch of Mets. Just time your shots with the Firestorm and you'll kill them as they come up, since their helmets don't actually make the Firestorm's fireball bounce off. Alright, we are now at Guts Man. I'd recommend staying on these 2 boulders here at the far left side of the room. Just jump up and throw a Hyper Bomb down. Guts Man doesn't really move around a whole lot, so he's a pretty easy target for Hyper Bomb. If he jumps straight up in the air and lands, he's going to make a big block fall into his hand that he's going to chuck at you. But if he jumps left or right, then he'll just shake the room. Just make sure that you're not on the ground whenever he causes the room to shake, otherwise you'll be stunned temporarily. For defeating Guts Man, you get the Super Arm weapon, which is another really powerful but extremely situational weapon. Still, I find Super Arm to be more useful than Hyper Bomb. To use Super Arm, you have to be supplied with its ammunition, which comes in the form of giant blocks that'll be scattered throughout some of the stages. Whenever you see these blocks, switch over to Super Arm. The block will flash whenever you get next to it, signaling that you can pick it up and throw it. Which, whenever you throw a block with Super Arm, it is extremely powerful, but again, this weapon is way too situational to be truly useful. It is good whenever you can use it, though. It uses up 2 bars of weapon energy per block that you throw, giving you 14 uses to a full bar of weapon energy. Here we are on Cutman stage. I always liked the way how Cutman stage looks. I always thought that it looked pretty cool. I also like his music a lot. It's a pretty classic sounding song in my opinion. We'll just keep using Firestorm to take out the enemies. Just keep making our way up from here. I always thought that it kind of looked like they took your health bar, turned it sideways, and then stuck it on the wall for a decoration throughout this area. Still, it doesn't look too bad. Just keep making our way up. Just keep running to bypass this machine. It's not worth your time. Cutman stage has quite a few of the blocks for you to throw around using Super Arm. Some stages don't have any blocks at all for you to use the weapon on. The stages that have the most Super Arm blocks for you to use are definitely Cutman and the Dr. Wily Fortress. Just be sure to save some weapon energy in it, since Cutman is weak to it. We'll go ahead and use Super Arm and Hyper Bomb some throughout this area. Yeah, you can take out quite a few enemies if you time your Super Arm blocks right, since the blocks shatter. It is a pretty fun weapon to use, but it's just really situational since the stage has to supply you with the ammunition for it. Go ahead and use Hyper Bomb a little bit. We'll go ahead and throw this block here, kill those 2 octopus batteries over there. There we go. Get us some more points, and up we go. We'll go ahead and use Hyper Bomb up here. Like I said, Hyper Bomb is probably one of the worst weapons in the entire Classic series. but I do want to give it a little bit of screen time. We'll go ahead and throw this block over here. If an octopus battery is stuck to one of the blocks and you pick it up, it'll continue to come at you, so be careful of that. We're not too much further from Cut Man. We just got to go to the right over here, drop down, and then we're pretty much at him. We'll just use Firestorm for a little while. If you don't have Super Arm, you can just use Firestorm to take out Cut Man, since it does the same amount of damage to him as the Mega Buster. I always like pausing and switching weapons near the bottom of the screen if you're going down, because Mega Man will just keep teleporting through the screen transition. We'll just chuck these two bottom blocks at the big eye and get into a safe place. We'll go ahead and use Hyper Bomb to take him out. One thing that I always kind of found interesting about Cut Man is that he takes more damage from the Mega Buster than any other Robot Master in the entire Classic series. If you want to, you can actually take an extra Super Arm block into the battle against Cut Man. You'll just have to do your best to avoid the screwdriver enemies throughout this area, or just take hits and run for it. Either way, we're just about to Cut Man. And here we go. Cut Man goes down really quickly if you're using the Super Arm. He only takes 2 hits, since that's what they originally planned for you to use against him, which is just 2 blocks. One thing that's kind of interesting is that if you beat the boss, you can't pick up any more Super Arm blocks. Kind of interesting. For defeating Cut Man, we get the Rolling Cutter weapon, which isn't the best weapon, but it's certainly a really good one. It's above average, that's for sure. Whenever you use it, Mega Man will throw out a scissor blade that is pretty decent in strength. It can mow right through enemies, it has a boomerang effect and comes right back to you. Plus, it only uses up 1 bar of energy per shot, thus giving you 28 uses to a full bar of weapon energy. So that's good. Here we are on Elec Man stage. I really like the music that plays in this stage. It's probably my favorite stage theme here in Mega Man 1. There are actually a couple of real songs that use like the same main part that this song uses, like REM's All the Right Friends and Journey's song Faithfully. I always thought that that was pretty interesting. We'll just keep using Rolling Cutter for now. It's pretty good for taking out the Watcher enemies throughout this area. If you time it right, you can take out 2 of them with 1 blade, so that's pretty cool. We got some Yoku blocks coming up right ahead. There aren't very many of them though in Elec Man stage. Still though, it is kinda nice to see them. If you take the left ladder, it will lead to weapon energy. The right ladder will lead further into the stage. You can actually progress further into the stage by taking the left ladder as well, but it would be kind of a tricky jump. I'd just recommend taking the right ladder, unless you really need that weapon energy. I like how you can actually see electricity working through the glass in certain parts in this stage. That's pretty cool. We'll be going through another climbing segment here in a moment. Yeah, this stage is mostly vertical based, but I don't mind. That helps change things up from the usual go to the right until you finish the level sort of thing. So that's nice. Elec Man was actually the very first robot that Keiji Inafune, the guy who made Mega Man, ever created. So that's pretty cool. I always liked the way how Elec Man looks. He always looked like a comic book superhero or a comic book villain to me, which I think is pretty cool. We'll just use Firestorm to take out these Watchers here. Right up above us is the Magnet Beam. I'd highly recommend that you beat Guts Man before coming to this level, otherwise you're going to have to come back because the Magnet Beam is required in order to beat the game. The Magnet Beam will let you create platforms that you can walk along. It's a really useful Mega Man adapter, but it's against the rules here in this challenge, of course, so we won't be using it until it's forced, of course. Go ahead and chuck this Super Arm block. There we go. And up we go. If you're doing a weapons-only challenge, then you'll need to take the left path here, because taking the right path will force you to use the Magnet Beam. Even if you're doing a regular run of the game, I'd still recommend climbing up the left ladder, since I think that one's easier. We're not too much further from Elec Man, we're practically on the final stretch to him now. The actual area right before the boss doors is way short, so yeah, we're practically on the final stretch now. Climb up here. We just gotta hop along those 2 electric traps and then we're at the boss doors. Gotta try to get around a big eye up here. Elec Man's one of the most powerful robot masters in the entire Classic series as well. He can kill you in as little as 3 hits with his Thunder Beam. Of course, you can also kill him in up to 3 hits using the Rolling Cutter. Elec Man's also really fast, but if you know the trick to Elec Man, then he's really not that bad. You pretty much just have to wait for him to raise his arms, then jump and shoot in case he fires off a Thunder Beam. He'll get knocked back, he'll run up to you again, he'll raise his arms, jump and shoot, and just repeat over and over. He's pretty easy if you know the trick. You can destroy Elec Man using as little as 2 rolling cutters, because sometimes the cutter will hit Elec Man on its way back to Mega Man, so that's always good. For defeating Elec Man, we get the Thunder Beam weapon, which is another one of the best weapons in the entire Classic series in my opinion. Whenever you shoot it, it will fire 3 beams of electricity, one that will go up, one will go down, and one will go straight in front of Mega Man. The one that goes straight in front of Mega Man waves up and down, thus giving it good frontal range, so you can hit enemies above, below, and in front of Mega Man. And it only uses up 1 bar of weapon energy per shot, thus giving it 28 uses to a full bar of weapon energy, so that's also really good. And I like the color scheme that it makes Mega Man the whole gray and yellow. That's pretty cool as well. It seems like it's divided about evenly between people who prefer Firestorm or Thunder Beam. I myself prefer Thunder Beam, but the fact is that both of those weapons are 2 of the best in the entire Classic series, and I like using both of them. Here we are in Iceman stage. I kinda wish that they would have already created the Mega Man water physics that we're used to in all the other Mega Man games whenever they made Mega Man 1. But hey, it's alright, it's just the first game. I really like the penguin copters that come at you throughout this area. Fits the ice theme. I like the way how this stage looks in general. I like the ice that you see here and there in the clouds and everything. Overall, I like this stage quite a bit, and it has a good song. I like this one quite a bit as well. We got some Yoku blocks down here. As usual, once you've memorized the pattern of the Yoku blocks, and they're nothing at all. Iceman stage has quite a variety of different stage elements, from the water to the Yoku block to the footholders coming up here pretty soon. We got some more Yoku blocks here. Just get past them like you normally would, memorize the pattern and go through them. We're not too much further from Iceman. We're pretty much there after we've crossed the field of footholders. I always thought that the footholders were one of the most annoying things about Mega Man 1. Not just because they follow their own little flight pattern and can sometimes take forever before you have an opening to jump from one to another, but also because you can sometimes land on them and for no reason at all take damage and fall through to your death. It's really, really annoying. And you know that they're just planning something. Look at those shifty eyes. You know that they've got something bad brewing in their minds. So yeah, in my opinion, the footholders are one of the most annoying things about Mega Man 1. We have a few more footholders to put up with, but we're just about done with them. We'll have penguin copters appearing throughout this area. Just take them out right as they begin to appear. Like I said, the footholders aren't just annoying because you can sometimes glitch through them into your death, but also because sometimes it may be a while before they take you to where you want to go. There we go. Head over here and drop down. Iceman is another pretty powerful robot master. Just like Elec Man, he can take you out in 3 hits. But so long as you're pretty good at precision jumping, then he's not too bad. You just gotta learn how to time your jumps between his Ice Slasher weapons. He goes down in 3 hits to the Thunder Beam, so be sure to kill him with that before the Ice Slashers get to you. Yeah, they're pretty slow moving. For defeating Iceman, you get the Ice Slasher weapon, which is a really good utility weapon. Whenever you fire it, it'll shoot a shard of ice that whenever it hits an enemy, will freeze the enemy in place for a total of 8 seconds. And while that enemy is frozen, you can pause and switch to another weapon and kill the enemy in whatever way that you like. It has virtually no attack power. It can only hurt 3 things: Fireman, Dr. Wily's first form, and technically Gabyals. Instead of freezing a Gabyal for 8 seconds, it will instead stun it for 4 seconds like if you shot it with a Mega Buster. It only uses up 1 bar of energy per shot, thus giving you 28 uses to a full bar of weapon energy, so that's good. And with the 6 Robot Masters now down and out, that is it for Part 1.